see myself. Ladies and gentlemen. Okay. Alright, let's see here. Okay. You're gonna need recording. It's recording. Okay. Hello, today I'm going to teach you about some hips. We're going to do some stuff on the back, we'll do some stuff standing up, and we'll do some stuff trying to sit down. You'll need some kind of strap, a belt, yoga strap, a piece of rope, t-shirt, I don't care. I have a block. You could use a block, or you could use a stair step, or if you don't have it, you don't necessarily need it for this movement, but if you have it, grab it. And some kind of blanket will do well. Yeah. Okay, so first, let's start. These are my notes. I might use them, I might not. First, I'm probably going to move the camera around every so often. First, go ahead and lie down on your back and find a comfortable-ish position. You can have your knees bent or legs long, and you can put your hands wherever you want to. Your eyes can be open or closed. And what I'd like for you to notice here is down in your hips, down in your pelvis. Just notice the contact that the back of the hips have with the floor or the carpet or the props, whatever it's touching. We'll just get a little bit of soft movement from left to right, tilting the pelvis a little from forward back. Just a little bit to sense that contact there. And then start to notice your breathing. You might place a hand on the belly and maybe a hand on the chest and breathe into both hands. On inhale, and then exhale. And I'm trying to breathe into the front of my hands, but also the back of my hands, because I have the floor there, so you can breathe down as well as up and as well as to the sides. I'm just getting as much breath in there as possible to see what that feels like for you right now. Okay, and then grab a strap or the t-shirt or belt or whatever. And you'll put your foot into the strap. My camera angle here is a little tricky. I'll show you it first, and then I'll stick my leg up. Okay. Put the strap around the ball of the foot, the big toe and the pinky toe side, and then reach it up towards the ceiling, and you're going to use this as feedback and moving the ankle around. So you'll just create a little bit of tension down into the floor, pressing the shoulders back to hold in the hands that strap, and then move your ankle around in as many different ways as you can, reaching the leg up towards the ceiling. You'll go slow here. I'm trying not to move the rest of my leg. I'm trying not to move my hip. Today's a hip class, but we are starting at the ankle because the ankle is well associated, with the hip. And I'm already noticing some stuff at certain angles of my ankle. And then, of course, you'll change directions and switch legs. And feel free to pause at any time. You can pause the video to go longer or to skip things. Moving through the ankle in as slow and controlled of a circle as you can, while creating a little bit of resistance with the strap at the ball of the foot, big toe side and pinky side, and change, go in both directions. If you're a runner, this is going to be really useful. If you're a squatter, not like the kind that squats in buildings, maybe, I don't know, like if you do lots of squats. Okay. So from there, I forget what we do. Oh yeah! I'm going to come up and come onto hands and knees. You can use the block or something else behind the back of the leg. I'm going to use an inflatable ball heel here, the gorgeous ball. I'm forgetting. You're going to come over to the wall. Lean your hip up against the wall. Put one hand down, one hand up. We're locking the rib cage out so that we are going to move, so that we can move at just the outer hip, not the hip that's touching the wall. We're going to use movement at that hip. We're trying to keep the rest of the rib cage stable. And moving in both directions and trying to pop the therapy ball. If you don't have a therapy ball, that's fine. You can roll up a little towel back there. This is really tough. This is called a controlled articular rotation. You can adjust the position as you need to. And you're drawing that right knee in towards the chest. I'm losing breath. Woo. Draw it out wide like a fire hydrant. Dip the knee down, lift the heel up, and sweep the leg way back, but don't change position in your spine. And then draw the knee back center, in towards the chest, directly out. Dip the knee down, heel lift, breath, packing in, and then you'll change direction. It sounds like there's a parade happening. Oh yeah, this is the hip party parade. So that's for some deep capsular stuff at the hip socket, the deepest tissue stuff that your nervous system can access. That's where the movement happens first. And when you do movement, you want it to go as deep as it can go so that you can use all the tissues that you have. change directions, do the other side. And notice any difference from side to side. It can be very, very different. Sometimes it's not so different. And sometimes even you don't notice anything at all. And that's okay too. It's okay to notice nothing. Yeah? All right. So I'm going to change the camera angle now. I have no idea what's happening outside. Oh, it's Jesus. Jesus is here for the hips. Good. Yes. All right. Man, this is tricky. I'm going to pause it. I'm going to pause the video. Okay. Hashtag blessed. Your hips are blessed. Now you'll need a block or a stair step, and you're going to step up on that block. Lift your foot up off the floor so that both feet are even. One foot will hover, one foot will be on the block. I know it's hard to see. I am in a small room. You're going to take this hovering leg, that leg that's not touching anything, and try and lower it down. Your whole pelvis will shift. Standing leg is stable. You can use the wall. And then lift that hover foot up, bringing the whole pelvis to shift up. And you're going to continue going through that movement a few times, and by few I mean like 30, really slow. So your foot that's on the block, or it could even be on the floor, yeah, or on a stair step. That foot is stable, that leg is stable, and the pelvis is moving around it. You can take that hovering foot and move it in different directions. Woo. Focus on strength first. No need to add on the balance challenge right now. I start to feel fatigue in my hip. My head is cut off. Hello. And then of course, after 30 times or so, you'll change. And these are like really deep, this is really deep tissue stuff. Your stabilizer muscles deep in your hip sockets. You've got the femur bone. You got your femur, the top of the thigh bone, and then you got your pelvic bone that meets it, and it's a ball and socket joint, and it allows for all that leg movement. And there's a bunch of different tissues, little muscles, little body stuff that's deep there at the joint that helps your joint stay stable. So this is to strengthen that stuff. Okay, do the other side. Boom, 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 boom. Pelvis rocking as a whole. Do. And we can also do some calf raises, good old calf raises. Again, find something to stand on. Lift the heel all the way up, and then lower the heel as far down as you can go, and lift up and lower down. Really simple, right? But sometimes it's the boring things that we need to do. Like, that's what training is. You're training your hips here. You're training your hips not to do fancy moves. I mean, maybe you want to do fancy moves. But you got to do the boring stuff before you can get to the fancy stuff. The fancy stuff for me lately has been a squat. It's not that fancy, but I need to do all the rudimentary, the basic things first. Switch sides. So you're keeping the ball of the foot and the pinky edge of the foot connected, and then you're moving the heel up and down. This is similar to when we were with the strap beforehand, moving the ankle. And you can really explore different positions with your ankle. You can dip it down to the left, you can dip it down to the right. I know it's hard to see, but this is what we got. You can circle it around. One ankle might feel stronger. or not. So when we take movements like a squat, there are many different parts of the body that are working. You're creasing at the hips, you're bending at the knees, and the ankle is also doing some dorsiflexion, or drawing the toes towards the kneecap. Man, that's enough of that for now. You can do as many of those as you want to. Okay, from standing, I'm going to shift the camera again. Okay, from standing, we're going to do, oh look, I'm in a squat right now. We're going to do some lunge work. Step 1 foot back about 2 feet or so, a short stance. Boom. This back foot is a kickstand. Not much weight there. You want to lean more of your weight into your front foot because we're going to work the front hip. And you're going to bend, stay tall, hinge the hips back, bend through the knee, crease through the ankle as far down as you'd like, and then push down through that front foot to rise up tall, maybe even thrust the hips forward a little bit. And then send the hips back, bend at the knee as well, keep creasing at the hips, the ankle. I'm just going to grab my strap here and push my hips into my strap as some external feedback. And then use the strap, pull the hips back, bend the knee, crease at the ankle, down you go. Kickstand light in the back foot, and then drive down through the front foot and push forward. You can do that a few times. Whew, and then switch. And the reason that I like to do one at a time, hips back, knee bend, ankle crease, is to really get a sense for the difference from left hip to right hip. Like, are there little swivel motions? Are there points when my hip kind of want to squeak out to this side? And I really like it just as information. Like, I don't necessarily have to change it. I don't have to micromanage my body, but it can be helpful. Man, I'm running out of breath. I noticed that. All right, let's do a check-in, yeah? This is very different than teaching a class in a classroom where there's people. I'm noticing that this is a little tricky. Hands on your belly, hands on your chest. Place your feet underneath your hips-ish. Breathe into both hands. Breathe into the back of the ribs. Breathe into the wide side ribs. Notice the texture underneath your feet. Okay. Relax your hands. Open your eyes if they're closed. And I think from here, we're going to do some side lunges. Yeah. Okay. So this is the movement that I showed on my Instagram recently. And it's bringing the feet wider than the hips and beginning to push the floor away from side to side, like a skier, or I don't know, an energy worker maybe. Using muscles through the outer hip. And then you can start to play with balance. You can kind of tease a little bit off the floor with your light toes. And you can use a wall. Yeah, why not? You could use a chair. Sure, dude. Like, give yourself some support, you know? Whatever you need. You could bend your knees a little deeper, maybe. Or maybe you straighten the legs more. Right? This is your body. You're getting to know your body and what it's capable of today. And then maybe you start to lift the leg off the floor. Draw the knee in towards the chest. and stand up tall. I'm using a wall, you could too. And then go back where you just came. It's like a karate kick. Staying active through that foot, placing it down, shifting over, getting light through the toes, bending that knee, standing up tall, and going back where you just came from. You can do that a bunch of times. Whew. Okay. Go ahead now and bring the feet a little bit more narrow, wider than the shoulders, but more narrow from before. Crease the hips back, bend the knees, bend at the ankles, and lower down any distance, and then rise up tall. And then back down you go. And last one. For now. Okay. I forgot what comes next. Oh yeah, the chair. It's so interesting teaching without anybody in the room. It's interesting because I have no idea how you're receiving it, so I can't read your face. I can't talk to your bodies. It's really interesting. Okay, next we're going to come to the wall and sit the hips back to touch the wall. Step your feet out 1.5 feet or so. You can use the hands if you want. And lift one foot up and off. That might be challenging enough, so you put like a block underneath, maybe, make it accessible for yourself. And see if you can lift the foot up and off and do this figure 4 position. Ooh. And I'm going to actually come into this standing. So I'm standing on my left foot, I lift the right foot up and off, I bend my right knee, I swivel my knee out as I lift the right heel up, and I place my right ankle somewhere along the leg, bend the left knee, sit the hips back, use blocks underneath the hands or on the wall. And I'm working here to keep my hips grounded back to the wall. I'm also working to push the floor away with my left foot. Just creating as much tension as I can throughout the lower half of my body. And why not create some tension through the upper half of the body too? I can breathe deep, pack an exhale, and create some tension through the upper body. Tension isn't a bad thing necessarily. So breathing to support this movement. Right knee goes down some, right heel tries to lift up to stay active through those external rotators, the muscles through the deep outer hip. And then maybe you lean forward with support from the hands. If you want, you can stay here, lengthen the spine, hips back, pushing down through the left foot, pushing down through the right knee, lifting the right heel, or maybe you stay, or maybe you twist, finding breath. And then you can come out and switch, placing the foot down to the floor, hips driving back, knee bent. It's a bit of a stretch and it's a bit of an active thing. Flexing through the ankle, left knee goes down, left ankle tries to lift up and off. It's probably not going to move, okay? That's okay. You can still attempt to lift it with the muscular work of your deep left hip. And that's going to be an isometric contraction. You're telling the muscles to do something. They're not moving. They're in place. And that's okay. That's actually the safest message for your nervous system to receive information in isometrics. And maybe lean forward. Hips back, pushing down through the right foot, pushing down through the left knee, lifting the left heel up and off. Woo, staying tall through the spine, and then maybe rotating. I need more support with blocks here. And breathe deeper than I am now. Oh. Okay. Ooh, notice your body. This next one is probably going to be challenging. Wow, you get a really good look at my crotch and of my floor. Alright, so for those of you that do yoga, looking for something to make this higher. You might know a movement called janu sirsasana. Okay. One leg, one knee bent, one leg out front. Lean your hands back. You can place the right sole of the foot anywhere that you need to. And we're going to begin to lift the leg up and off the floor. So it's an active version. Lifting the leg up and off the floor any distance. Even if it doesn't come up, attempt to lift it. There's more stuff that we can do here. You can turn the toes and lift. Ground down through the bent knee. If you want more intensity, you can lean forward some. Lifting the leg up and off. Ooh, that makes it more challenging. I am back here today. And you can hold it. You can lift and hold. That's what we did in class. And I'll guide you to taking a deep breath. Deep breath in. Pack in the breath. And then breathe shallow through the rib cage, not all the way down to the belly, creating internal pressure through the abdomen, and then lift the leg. Create more tension as you push down through the hands, push down through the bent knee, keep lifting the leg higher, strengthening through the front side, the hip flexors, psoas, iliacus, TFL, etc. And then slow, 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 you'll lower down, you'll pause, maybe you get a little closer, and try that again, and then switch sides. So this is working the muscles through the front of the hip that help us to sit down in chairs, that help to do cool Russian dance moves, that help you to have really strong hips. You need all of it to be strong. Yeah. Stretching is helpful, and so is strength. The more that I have learned about my body, the more that I've learned that after years of doing yoga, which the type that I learned was a lot of flexibility and a lot of stretch. So after doing years of that, like 10 plus years, my body is pretty flexible, and it's to the extent where it's too flexible. So I need to now strengthen within those ranges. Keep lifting off this other leg, hold it, pack in your breath. So I don't know if that's you. I'd be interested to hear what your experience is. But yeah, that's to strengthen the front of the hips. And check in with your body now, noticing any texture underneath the feet. Noticing any sense of contact between the hips and the floor. And noticing your breath. All right, for the last hurrah, you will need a chair or a stool, or you can use, we used in class, like 5 blocks stacked on top of each other on the low height next to the wall, because we're going to do some sitting practice. I'm going to pause as I get set up. Okay, now I have my stool, and we will practice one-legged sitting down and two-legged sitting down.